Golden Spiral Media presents The Blacklist Exposed.
Welcome back, Special Agents. It's tea time today on The Blacklist Exposed. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson, or am I Raylan Givens? Is this Harlan, Kentucky? I can't remember. The episode sure felt like it. Thanks for joining us this week as we discuss number 108 on the Blacklist, Kings of the Highway, which aired November 19th, 2015. It was written by Brian Studler. Studler or Studler? Do we know?
Not sure.
I said it both ways.
The episode was Studley, so we'll go with Studler.
And directed by Terrence O'Hara. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com. Before we get going today, a contest update and programming update. Didn't even know we had programming. I guess we're all fancified. First, you all are amazing with a capital amaze. As we received 20 new reviews last week, which means only 5 new reviews are needed by next weekend for the grand prize to be in play. Yay! Woo-hoo. If you have not yet reviewed the podcast in iTunes, the App Store, or on Google Play, please do so for your chance to win a copy of Season 1 and 2 of The Blacklist. And last week, Lost in Madtown and Linda from Boston were the first and third reviews, so they get the second chance winners this week, which get them an extra shot at the grand prize. Second, we will draw the winner on the podcast episode that we will release on December 5th. That's right, we plan to have 3 episodes in December as a holiday gift to all of you, even though the TV show doesn't return until January 7th. So make sure you subscribe to the show, stay tuned in the Twitter and the Facebook group so you don't miss these awesome episodes that are coming up.
That's right, because now all 3 of these episodes are subject to change based on the availability. But if it all holds the way it's supposed to right now, here's the schedule for the coming weeks. So next week, it's the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States, so Aaron and I are going to stuff ourselves with some food.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
You know it. Hang out with the family, watch some movies. So we will not be here next week. The week after, December 5th, we will draw for the winner, as Aaron mentioned, for the contest, and we're going to be talking to, yes, the creator, the man himself, Mr. John Bokenkamp. He'll be stopping by for a chat. So we want you to start sending in your questions for him as soon as this podcast is over. You can send those in using the feedback form at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. Go ahead and send those in. Anything's fair game at this point, and then Mr. Bokenkamp will choose what he wishes to answer.
Now, you said he's coming by. Does that mean, like, I got to put pants on, or?
Well, yeah, because last season your pants were on the ground the whole time, according to Bill and Rory.
Yeah, they were.
The week after that, on December 12th, NBC was kind enough to let us know that one of the cast members may be stopping by. Depending on the shooting schedule will depend on who that might be, so stay tuned again to the Facebook group and the Twitter account to find out who's going to be stopping by.
Can't wait.
And then, awesome stuff. At least
I hope it's Jilly. I hope it's crazy Jilly.
Jilly was awesome. At the December 19th, Nicole Phillips is going to be stopping by. She is the mastermind behind the Blacklist comic book series from Titan Comics, and we're going to be discussing the finale of Series 1, and she's actually going to give us a preview of what will be ahead in Series 2 that's going to be releasing in January, I do believe, from Titan Comics. So if you're liking the comic book, get your questions in for Nicole as well. And then we'll take 2 weeks off for the Christmas and New Year's holiday, and then be back at it on January 9th for the January 7th episode.
Which is going to be really interesting, I think. Now, before we get into all our profiling questions and stuff, so what did you think of the fall finale overall? Just overall.
It's a really good question, because I know what's coming and what the episodes are titled for when we return, and I'm wondering, based on how they're laying out those episodes, notice I'm saying plural, that I wonder if one of those was supposed to be the fall finale, and because of the heroes thing, that's why this maybe didn't feel as much like a fall finale. But I thought for what they had to work with, because the episodes did get shifted a little bit, I think, I thought it was fine. I think everything kind of like resolved itself and set up for something new.
I will see. I'm not like Troy. I don't look at all the stuff coming up because I actually don't want to be spoiled. I like to be surprised. I know it's shameful in today's television environment, but I don't want to know. Don't want to know what the title is. Don't want to watch previews. Don't want to see clips of the upcoming episodes. I want to be involved in what the show is doing. So I have no idea what's coming up. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was really fun. Had a great time. The first probably 15 minutes, I honestly sat there and went, "What the hell are they doing? Why are we in Harlan County? I don't understand. Why is Red kidnapped by hillbillies? And what's going on? Where's the banjo? Where's the dueling banjo?" But as the episode went on, and they still managed to incorporate just about every major story thread, I thought that was extremely impressive to me. Like, by the time the episode ended, I was like, wow, I'm actually impressed they got all that in there. Based on where at the beginning I thought, well, are we just having a filler episode? I don't know what's going on. And it really came around for me.
Yeah, I think it was the same thing. I was really looking for, towards the end, if all of the pieces and the puzzles were going to start to like migrate together. And they didn't exactly migrate together, but it was pretty darn close. I thought that was really, really interesting.
I called a bunch of stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the best episode ever.
I think we got a tweet on Twitter that said we called about 99% of the finale.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think they wrote it. I think basically I wrote it. It's true. That's what happened. I wrote it. And Troy, he threw a couple stupid theories in there.
Yes.
Well, let's get into our profiling stuff first.
Absolutely. We asked you last week, what was the deal with Charlene and that neighbor? And we got an answer already, so these should be fun.
And I will always say the Blacklist pays off stories very quickly, so given what we know now, let's just see how right or wrong you all were. And I do want to say, once again, they pay off things quicker than any other show on television. Everybody should send them a thank you card, because we're not sitting around waiting. It's not lost, you know what I'm saying? Where I still don't have some answers.
Even though this episode was number 108. Lost number.
You just been waiting?
All day. All day.
All right. Well, Hestier said bad blood over a borrowed gnome never returned is the answer to what's the deal between Charlene and that neighbor. Darlene said he's her handler and how they found out the Russian was in the house. I like that.
I like the creativity so far.
I like that. Rory said, could it be as simple as he is aware of what she was accused of, leaking documents? Robin agrees. Rich thought, I don't think anything other than her arrest and Cooper's reassignment within the FBI. It got into the neighborhood and more than likely being shunned by neighbors. Guess what? She was, you know what I'm saying? Christopher said, civic association members. He criticized her lawn decorations once. PTA members she served peanut chicken stir fry to. She'll assume he kicked the gnome. Next meeting, snickerdoodle treats. And Suzanne said, I think it's just the fact Cooper and his wife were arrested and linked to Reddington and Keene on the run. Brenda said Charlene made a deal with the devil. That's the director, not the actual devil. He's busy. And incorporated the neighbor in exchange for freeing Cooper. Mike said they probably had a quote-unquote affair. Why would you put that in quotes? It's an affair. Is it like more special if you have it in quotes?
It's the way Mike wrote it, so.
All right. And got caught because you can't hide that stuff. The guy's wife gave an ultimatum and then crossed Charlene off her Christmas card list. Jimmy, that's funny. Jimmy was on the same wavelength as Mike. When she thought her love was really sick, she was falling for him. Melinda, Robin, Tracy, Lori, Jen, and Craig also say affair. You're all correct. But most importantly, you ready?
I'm ready.
Tessa said, the affair between Charlene and the neighbor has to be over now because the gnome was the signal to let him know if Cooper was home or not. We all know what happened to that poor gnome.
That's funny. I like that one.
Whew, I'm out of breath. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
I love the creativity this week. That was really, really great. And I'm glad that we have the answer because that one seemed like it could have been one that could have hung for a while since it wasn't really part of the story.
Didn't expect it to be answered so quick, honestly.
Didn't expect it to be answered in a subway tunnel either.
That's a good point. They're doing minor surgery, and she's like, oh, by the way, got to break this to you. The neighbor, yeah, you're not going to want to go over there for burgers anymore.
Yeah, sorry, honey. Unfortunately, you can't walk away from this conversation because we're kind of trapped down here.
All right, well, our new profiling question, which you guys have plenty of time to answer these, but make sure and get them in because I'm really curious what you guys think. What was in the care package that is now in the FBI's hands? So that briefcase, that mysterious briefcase, was it Ian? That his name? Gave to Dembe?
Correct.
Okay. That mysterious briefcase, what is in it? What do you think is in it? What's in the care package? Is it that mysterious light from Pulp Fiction? What is it?
It'd be interesting to find out. It could be a bunch of stuff that we've already seen. It could be all brand new stuff that we've never seen before. And that's why we love this show.
It could definitely be stuff. You're right.
Now, with that, let's go ahead and take a run through the woods as we discuss this week's case profile.
I don't think you guys give Troy enough credit for that clever segue he just threw at you. Run through the woods. I get it. The main story this week is Red has been kidnapped by hillbillies off Route 214 in West Virginia. Bunch of redneck journeymen led by Cash. Jilly, is it Jilly? It was Jilly or Gilly? I can't remember.
Jilly with a J.
Jilly, yeah. As a shared girlfriend, wackadoo, who keeps doll head knives at the ready. And what do you think about this? Now, the reason I asked that question is because, and I know we talked a little bit about it earlier when we gave our basic summary of thoughts, but a lot of people had an issue with the storyline. I think a lot of people wanted the story to be completely focused on clearing Liz, and this seemed off. It seemed to some people, I think they felt that, how would Red be taken so easily? I mean, this guy's gotten out of thicker and hairier situations than this. It doesn't make sense for Red the character. Those were some listener viewer complaints. Do you agree with that? Disagree with that? What do you think, Troy?
I could totally see where they'd be upset. And I think it goes again back to the scheduling issue, because I think that you would have gotten that had the 9th episode aired on Thursday night instead of the 8th. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, well, you keep referring to stuff that I don't know anything about, so that doesn't make sense. We're talking about this episode.
Yeah, this episode I don't think was intended to be the fall finale, so people that were expecting things to be a quote-unquote fall finale were really in episode 9 that is not aired yet. And because of the shift of the schedule, I think that's why this didn't seem like everything that everybody wanted it to be. So I would say, hold your horses, enjoy your holiday, come back January 7th, and you'll be glad you waited for what you're going to see.
I completely felt like it was a fall finale, though. So I get where people are coming from. And the first time I watched it, I felt the exact same. I said, like 15, 20 minutes in, I'm like, what is going on? This doesn't feel like what I thought it was going to be. Because we rewatch every episode at least 2, maybe 3 times sometimes. And when I rewatched it the second time, I really liked that choice. And let me explain why. I never would have expected it to go that direction. The entire week, and we already got like a bunch of stuff, right? I guessed Charlene, guessed Hitchens. I knew she was I assumed she was with the Cabal. I said that last week, and I've said that since the first time I met her. Mostly because you don't bring Christine Lottie onto a show and not use her. You know what I'm saying? She's a good actress. You've got several things that we knew were going to happen, and they did happen. So I guess in a sense that's technically predictable. This storyline, never saw coming. Had no idea. This came out of nowhere. Now, is it a little forced? Is it a little not realistic? Have you watched the show? I think most of it's unrealistic. So that to me didn't matter. I thought once the characters got into it and we actually got some character work from the actor playing Cash, I thought did a great job. Just totally Charlie Manson it up. Jilly was really, really entertaining. And obviously she needs some serious help, as Red said. So like I said, when I rewatched it, I enjoyed it so much more because my expectations, I think, were left at the door, and I got to enjoy it for what it was as opposed to what I wanted it to be.
Okay, now that you're off your soapbox, man.
You're welcome, America.
Podcast hour later. I think for me, this one was, I actually enjoyed the first 15 minutes, to be quite honest, because knowing it was a fall finale, Red pulls up to the pump. She comes outside. I turned to my wife and I said, he gone. He's either going to take off with the car, going to leave her behind, fend for herself. Red's got a plan, and Liz isn't part of it, right? So I already had that in my mind. And then when she comes out and he's gone, I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome because now she has to fend for herself. Then when the twist comes that he's actually kidnapped, I was like, oh, this is even more interesting because the Cabal found him. So this is all still playing into kind of this Cabal clearing Lizzie's name, fall finale stuff. And then as the episode went on and it was like, oh, it's just a bunch of people picking people off the highway, I was like, oh, well. But everything else was great. Then it was Kurt and the bike chase and Liz getting dunked in a sink and the Jilly scene with Red, which we'll talk about later. I think everything about this was just pure 100% entertainment, and I had a blast. Both times I watched it.
Yeah, I had a blast. And I do agree. I think the Kings of the Highway should have been connected to the Cabal in some way. But I also kind of like the idea that it's not. They just happen, hey, criminals find criminals. I don't know. Bad people find bad people.
I have to point this out. So earlier today, Friday, November 20th. I was on the NBC.com website looking for some photos, and they actually had on the NBC.com website, this episode was actually listed Knights of the Road on the NBC.com webpage. So I don't know if this episode has two titles. Maybe they had to use Knights of the Road for other countries, and they did Kings of the Highway just so that they could make the knuckle tattoo thing work.
It could. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we'll ask Bokenkamp when he comes on.
Yes.
Well, in terms of this actually episode and the main story where we're talking about the Kings of the Highway, there is a moment that I felt was a complete Troy moment, where you've got the verbal sparring / dancing between Red and Gilly, or Jilly, sorry. I keep getting that. It's not rocket science, but I still can't get it done. Between Red and Jilly, and she has her little dull knife head, which is super creepy and awesome at the same time. And then she's looking around on his pants. Oh, what's this? What have we here? Right in Red's crotchal area. It's not a word, but I like to make it. And all I kept thinking was, I swear they wrote this for Troy, who thinks Red is Liz's mom. I swear that's what that was. I hope I'm right.
Because when that started happening and she goes down there, I literally fell out of my chair. I was like, this could go either way. I cannot wait to find out what the answer is. And then, of course, it's just a sack of cash. So
I want to think it was a nod.
Answer.
I want to think it was a nod to you. That's what I'm going to go with.
It's so funny. It's like, oh, this is great. This is great. What's it going to be? Oh, it's just dollar bills.
Yeah.
Which sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I guess you put there depending on what you want to do with them.
Well, apparently that's where Red keeps his cash. So remember that if you ever take a 20 from James Spader. That's what I'm saying?
His cash and his stash.
Liz tracks down the SUV they were in, which leads her to Jasper. Turns out Liz enjoys using her tools of seduction to find Red. My question about this is, did you enjoy seeing the coin flip? I mean, this whole scene we've seen a lot of Liz being not really relevant in certain situations, kind of in the background where Red's doing all the assertive action. Well, here, Red is the captive. He's the damsel in distress, so to speak. And Liz has to go and get him. So what did you think about the twist? Twist.
I don't think it was really a twist so much because we've seen this before with T. Earl King when Red was put up for auction and Lizzie was the one that had to save Red, even though Red really had a plan all along. Mm-hmm. So to me, this was kind of like a repeat of that concept from a concept perspective. What I did like, though, was seeing how well she was able to play kind of like the dastardly criminal, tease, if you will. Because I thought that was really interesting to see her in that kind of criminal character mindset, almost kind of profiling Jasper like, oh, who's that girl that broke your heart? And then just totally playing along with it. So she's almost doing her profiling, but she's doing it in a way to get what she wants. And I think that's a really interesting side of Liz to see, especially when she hasn't really been in the limelight for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, she hasn't. And what was with that tattoo? What kind of... Man, if your lady friend breaks up with you, don't go get a tattoo of a broken heart. It just makes you look sad. Don't do it. Well, meanwhile, we have Red trying to negotiate his way out of this to varying degrees, and it seems to be the majority of the storyline revolved around Red trying to find a way out of a situation he finally could not control. Like, he did not have a plan, which I love that angle, because we're constantly being put in situations where he always knows the outcome. He has anticipated the outcome. Here, he doesn't know what's going to happen. And honestly, if Liz doesn't do what she does, he's dead. I firmly believe he's dead. So I like that dynamic. That was a great dynamic for this episode.
I agree 100%. But then it goes back to Kings of the Highway. It seems like Red knows about the concept, but it's not really a blacklister. So again, we have this like maybe the third or fourth of these in this third season.
And it's most of this season.
Yeah, it's like Red doesn't have any clue who these people are. So my first question for John when we talk to him is going to be, what the heck is the blacklist?
Well, I don't think he's going to answer that.
Well, I mean, it was very clear. Like we said, the first set was like to find Lucy Brooks. The second set was to find Berlin. The third set was to find Berlin's daughter. Then the next set was to find the fulcrum. And this season is just kind of like weird.
Well, is it weird though, or is it these are the people that are in Red's way? These are obstacles Red has to overcome. Maybe that's all the list is, that these are obstacles towards his whatever his end goal is. Liz being clear is part of his end goal, his end game, so to speak.
Yes, and so my theory on this is that...
I hope it's not another mom theory, man. I can't take two.
Definitely not a mom theory.
Can't do it.
But what I think this is could they be blacklisters because they were involved with this package, the care package or whatever, and because of that, we might see them again at a later date, kind of like how the Pavlovich brothers were in the pilot episode in season 1. You didn't know who they were, but then they become blacklisters later on in season 1 towards the end. So is it that we're seeing these characters before they really become true blacklisters, and this event is what makes them a blacklister, but because of that, you still have to title them the episode for the episode titling purposes? That totally did not make any sense whatsoever.
No, not so much. But here's what I would say. You know, at the very beginning, we're told what the blacklist is, and we're also told Red, well, he lies to everybody except Liz, right? That's the theory. So how do we know what he told us in the beginning is really what it is? To me, it feels like at this point, because of the different people that have been involved and labeled as the blacklist, I just think it can be anybody. It's whoever is standing in his way from whatever his goal is at that moment. That's who's on his blacklist. It's his blacklist, his crap list, so to speak. And that's what I think it is. That's all I think it is.
But in this case, it can't be people that he doesn't know.
Why can't it? Because they're an obstacle to his end game. They are in his way, so they are part of his blacklist.
Okay.
Or maybe it's even Liz's blacklist. Maybe we're just, there's two ways to look at it. But I definitely think it's obstacles in the way of the end game.
Which was kind of what we were talking about at the end of season 2 when we had the whole switcheroo about, it's Masha Rostova, so now it's going to become the Cabal's blacklist or whatever for season 3, which we were totally wrong on.
Sure were.
Then the episode becomes Tom Connolly, of course, when the opening credits roll. So, but I like what you're saying about being Liz's blacklist, because if you think about who we've had this year so far, we had Marvin Gerard, who's basically supposed to get her, free her from the stuff. Then we have Eli Matchett, which has information in order to help free Liz. Then we have, Ariak Kane, which was totally about Liz, right, with that whole website situation. So maybe this is a Liz-focused blacklist. That's actually from her point of view, because she is, in essence, Red Reddington at this point.
She's definitely becoming at the end of this episode, yeah. Okay, well, Liz basically plays Red... Or plays Jasper to get Red in the field, uses her resources, makes a deal to get him free. Did you see? And then at the very end gets caught. Now, did you see this entire episode as setting up the inevitable, where they're switching their respective roles? Where when we come back in the spring or January, we're basically going to see Liz in the cage or something, or being held in the post office, versus Red on the outside, so to speak.
Yeah, so now this is going to be, hey, I'm in the box, let's say. Mm-hmm. For those that may or may not have seen a preview or read anything, there was an article from Bokenkamp. I believe it was Entertainment Weekly. Is that correct?
Correct.
So depend if you read it or not. We won't share anything here, but it is interesting that you could have, in theory, Liz saying, I'm not going to talk to anybody unless I talk to Red Reddington, and the roles are completely reversed. Now,
how would that work in terms of, because Red's role is still unknown, which has really confused me this season, because they say that Red's role as a mole is unknown, but he's right up there with Liz on the wanted list. So how does that work now that Liz is captured? I assume they think Red is, he's still in the Lamb, right? So I guess they still see him as bad guy. I guess that works, because he still seems like a master criminal at that point.
Well, I guess the question goes back to Liz got on there because of the Aria bombing, because of the senator, and all of that. But Red still, I thought, had his situation with the post office as a member of the task force. So, yes, he is number one fugitive from before, but that was kind of like put on hold as long as he was willing to work with the task force. So at what point did he break free from that? Maybe that was at the end of season 2 by helping Liz. And so now they've considered that agreement null and void at that point.
I think they still have to keep that in binding, though, because they don't want him to get caught, because they do have a deal with him, and he has given them criminals, and they'll probably still need his help.
I agree 100%. So the question becomes, how much danger is she going to be in? Is she just in as much danger being held at the post office by Ressler, as she was saying going to the Russian embassy.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. It's interesting stuff. We've still got a lot more to talk about. We've got the characters to talk about. You ready to get into that?
Ooh, you bet.
All right, the director, he wasn't there. He was out doing some nefarious things. I don't know what he was doing, but he wasn't there. Setting up his return, I'm sure. Dembe, though, he hangs out at the bookstore for hours, waiting for Ian to deliver the package, the mysterious briefcase, and a first edition of Life in the Mississippi, which I've never read. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
Gonna have to now.
Yes.
Over the winter break. And he gets the mysterious package. It finally arrives. They don't show what's in it, so we're kind of left to wonder what's in the box. What do you think's in the box?
I have no clue. There's some conversations happening on Facebook. Some people thought maybe it would be the counterfeit tablets from General Ludd from back in season 1. Print your own money, bring down an economic system possibly. But the FBI would have had those, so how Red got them would be interesting to find out. So yeah, it'd be really. I have no clue at this point. I thought maybe at first it was the director's bearer bonds and the money that he stole from the safe deposit box. Maybe it was just, hey, here's the director's cash, take it.
No, because he had that with him. He wouldn't have needed Ian to deliver it.
Well, whatever it is, it's definitely worth more than $2 million.
Yeah, it's some money. I personally thought counterfeiting plates is probably the first thing that popped up, but I don't know how that would clear Liz. I have no idea, so I probably haven't thought that through enough. It's curious. I'm really looking forward to what our listeners thought, because I'm sure. Look, you guys listening pay a lot of attention to the show. I'm sure there are plenty of people that have picked up on things that we missed. And I think there have been clues to this first 8 episodes. So if you have an idea, please send it in. I'm really curious what people think. Looking forward to finding out what's in the box. 7 reference. The end of the episode, we find Dembe as our hero. He basically knocks... It takes 2 cops to bring him down, by the way. But he knocks one cop's gun out of the way so Liz can escape. Were you surprised it took 2 cops to bring him down?
No, not at all.
All right. He's a tough guy.
Tough guy.
Although I think that just put him in a really bad predicament, because he probably could have got out of it. But, oh well. Now, Mr. I'm sorry.
They have to arrest him in order for him to be on the inside so that he can then save Liz when Liz needs saving.
I don't think that was the plan, Troy.
It wasn't the plan, but it works out for good storytelling for later.
Yeah, it will. Maybe they'll put him in the box with her. Now, Mr. Solomon, he didn't do a whole lot this week. He played basically stalk and slay, trying to bring down Tom and Kirkert. His pistol almost looked like a silencer with a lightsaber at one point, by the way. I was watching it going, is that a lightsaber on his pistol? What is that? Because it just the way the light hit it, it looked, I guess I'm the only one.
You wanted to use the line from, was it Austin Powers, right? Look at my laser.
Laser beams on their freaking heads. So what did you think about Solomon's role this episode?
I thought it was really interesting that they're so focused on finding Kirkert, of all things, rather than focused on just getting Liz. So what is the purpose they have other than when they find Kirkert, they're going to kill him, which is what Tom basically tells him in the car. Like, you idiot, they're just going to kill you. What are you doing?
Because he's the one that can admit to what he did. He can prove what happened.
But he's still not Kirkert. He's not the guy that was questioned at the FBI because he's had all this facial reconstructive surgery. So whatever he says, it's a different guy. I don't believe him,
We'll find out, man. We'll find out. That's coming. He's important. He's very, very important.
I mean, he's been in enough episodes now that it seems like he's almost more important for something else than just Liz.
No, I think it's just Liz. I think he's the loose cannon that they need to contain, and that's what they're trying to do, is contain it. And he didn't get him. Basically, they're chasing him, and Tom is just too badass to get caught. He's too busy playing Jack Bauer, cutting devices out of people and whatnot. But when he gets to the Cooper's house, he does find the picture of the neighbors. And apparently he has some kind of, I don't know, psychic power, because he's looking at the picture and you could just see in his eyes, I think somebody had an affair in this picture. That's what I got. So do you think the neighbor is about to be leverage?
I don't think that he was thinking they had an affair, but he's like, oh, hey, this is a friend. I'm going to go find the friend and find out what he knows and where they might be going.
I don't know. He's looking at his eyes bugged out like, oh, no. That's what I got out of it. That's my impression of Eddie. All right, Laurel Hitchens. I just want to say, I called it. What? She's bad. Did you? I don't remember if you were on board with that or not.
I said it was too obvious that she would be with him. And this is the one thing that's interesting about her character, because she kicks the director out of the post office, right?
And I believe last week you said, well, if she's with the Cabal, she wouldn't have kicked the director out. And I said, yeah, that's part of the plan. So, just saying.
Even if it was part of the plan, the one thing that I'm still trying to struggle with my head is that she's totally involved with Solomon, specifically because of this operation or whatever that Revan Wright finds out about with Ressler. So is she really with the director, or is she really with Solomon? Because it seems like the director and Solomon are kind of still at odds with each other. So which part of the Cabal is really with this Laurel Hitchens character? Is she on the director's side, or is she on the side of Solomon? And one of them's gonna, like we said, one of them's gonna have to take the other one out.
I think she's on the side of the Cabal. I think she's a high-ranking member of the Cabal. I think she's above the director, obviously above Solomon, and I think she's involved heavily in the Cabal. So, in my opinion, she's not on either one of their quote-unquote side. She's the boss.
And I do remember there was an episode, I think it was before Alan Fitch died at the start of season 2, where we actually saw Cabal members coercing with each other, conversation, having a palaver, for all you Dark Tower fans out there. And
I have no idea what you just said, but it sounds foreign.
And I want to say that there was a female in that room having those conversations. Was that female Laurel Hitchens? Because we never saw faces.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. So since you weren't 100% sure and you said it was very obvious, were you surprised when this happened, when she shot Revan?
I was surprised she shot Revan in cold blood. Yeah, I was a little taken back by that, because I know Bokenkamp, kind of teased out there that I think someone's going to die tonight on Twitter. And so, of course, then it's like, the hillbilly guy dies and another hillbilly guy dies. And it's like, all right, so who's really going to die tonight, John? And then when Revan gets killed, it's like, oh, wow, didn't see that happening because I thought they were friends.
Yeah, nobody cared about Ken. So when they killed Revan, that was really hard.
Yep, that was the shocking death for the finale.
Right. Ken. That's a fish called Wanda. You're welcome. You ever seen that movie, by the way?
I have.
The entire time, if you've never seen it, it's Kevin Kline plays a stutterer. And the entire time when that hillbilly was talking, all I kept thinking about was Kevin Kline.
Yeah, totally.
Don't call me stupid. Oh, so funny. Okay, well, so we know she's with the Cabal, and she kills Wright in a very L.A. Confidential moment. I'm sorry. Movie references out the yin-yang. That's what I do. And Revan's last words were a story that Ressler told earlier. Why don't you remind people what the story was?
Yeah, so Ressler's talking about how, honor above all else, and his dad basically put a bullet in his chest by some drug dealers because he wouldn't go on this payroll of this one dirty cop named Tommy. Was it Larkin? I forget. Tommy.
Not on the payroll. He thought he was working with Tommy Larkin to bring down Detroit's crime. And it turns out Tommy was the dirty cop that got him killed.
Right, correct. Right. Yes. And so when Revan's there dying at the end, she just says, Tommy Larkin. So that way, basically calling out, like, you're the dirty cop to Laurel Hitchens.
Yep. So a lot of people were wondering, what that meant, because some people didn't pay it. I think there's so much going on in this episode, it's easy to miss. But when he told that story early in the episode, when he's talking to Revan in his office, when he mistakenly fingered Cooper and all that. So that was very touching and sad that that's how she had to realize it.
Now, I was really pleasantly glad and surprised because I was nervous for a minute because fall finale, right? Anything goes. And when the cleanup crew showed up, I was half expecting Mr. Kaplan to show up. And that would have been a great twist.
Ooh, man, that would have been a great twist.
And then when she didn't, I was like, okay, good. She's still on Red's team. I feel better.
That would have been a great twist, though, because I would never have seen coming. So that would have totally got me. Now you just gave me an idea. Copyright Troy Heinrichs. So where do you think Hitchens actually does ultimately stand on the org chart? We know she seems to be above those two, but do you think she's mid-level management, upper management, VP level? Where do you think she is?
I say VP level. She's the president's, person, right? And we've been talking about the president a little bit, and the whole 2017 is an inauguration year in real life. So I say she's up there.
Man, I still say I wonder how involved is the actual president of the United States. I think he's going to be one of the top blacklisters ultimately.
I mean,
still think that.
It would be funny because they moved Blacklist to Thursday nights, so it's directly up against Scandal. So it would be interesting if this had some kind of like B613 connection somehow with what's going on the Scandal TV show. That'd be kind of funny, actually.
Once again, I'm totally lost in anything you're saying. You don't make sense.
There's people that watch both shows.
They shouldn't. Watch this show. You don't. Let me guess. Somebody's sleeping with somebody in that show.
Oh, of course it is.
Watch Blacklist.
It's a Shonda Rhimes show. Hey, someone's sleeping with somebody in this show, too.
Hey, speaking of, the whole world, with the Ram this week, huh? He found out that his lady love very quickly, I might add. Once again, they pay stuff off very quickly. Man, did you think he'd already know that she got wrestlered?
Come on, Aram is a smart guy. I think he was onto it the minute he said, hey, yo, missed a button there, dude.
What? How really? How's he going to put together that he was with Samar just from a button?
Probably because scent, smell.
Was it an Israelic button or something?
Well, I mean, he did take a shower, but who's to say that he kissed her when she left, so maybe her perfume was on Ressler a little bit, and Aram picked up on it because Aram and her were friends.
He is a super sniffer now.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, he did some good detective work because he did figure it out. And it was interesting to me. Did you think he was gonna turn on her?
I did.
Once he realized that she lied to him, did you think he was gonna drop dime, as they say?
This is the part where I go, did he turn on her, or was this his way of saying, you hurt me, so therefore I'm going to get back at you by ratting you out? I was trying to figure out what his motives were, because he doesn't seem like the person that would have ratted her out. So he had to have a different kind of motive to bring it forward.
I don't think it was malicious. I think he realized that she lied to him. It concerned him, and there's been so much stuff. And Liz is his friend, and he didn't want to take a chance of something bad happening to Liz, and he didn't know what to think because she did lie and make it seem like, I can't let Ressler know about this, da-da-da-da-da, and he was concerned. I think it was just concern for Liz, and the fact that Samara lied to him made him curious.
That was my hope. I was hoping that his motive was a purely Liz motive, not I'm going to get you back because you hurt my feelings.
No, I didn't see that. Because, you could tell when you could tell he pieced together what happened, and you could tell when he actually was dealing with the confrontation with Ressler when it was obvious that he had let Ressler know the truth, and he was coming to her defense. I think that, about her brother and everything else, I don't think it was malicious at all. I didn't get that from the episode anyway.
Yeah, because they were kind of cordial, too, with each other. They're like, yeah, I'm sorry it worked out this way.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. And then he kind of teared up as she went out the elevator.
Absolutely. The moment between them when he talks to her and the lie is obvious and known and they're saying goodbye and everything else, that whole issue between them. Do you think that it's obvious now that they never actually dated, that it's just he's smitten with her, like I said?
Well, she made it seem like it was more, though. Otherwise, she wouldn't have apologized for letting him down. She would have been like, "We never had anything, dude."
I don't think so. I think she realized that he had feelings for her, I don't know. Is she saying sorry for that, or is she saying sorry because she lied to him? That's
a good question. That's actually a really good question.
Well, yeah, I'm asking you.
I don't know.
What's your answer?
I don't know.
Well,
if you're gonna force me into one, then I'm gonna say she was apologizing because they were friends, and no matter what happened, he was hurt, and she was upset about hurting their friendship.
That's what I would go with. Now, speaking of Samar, after she wakes up in Russell's apartment and uses his laptop, come on, rookie mistake. Can't do that. Obviously, the man knows that his laptop has moved locations, right?
Well, not only that, but it's like, hello, you've did this great super stealthy FBI ninja work last week, hiding from the bad guys, and then you do something so simple as not using incognito mode. before you do your search.
Well, to be fair, I mean, she's in an odd situation. She wasn't expecting to wake up in Ressler's apartment necessarily, so. Oof, man. And she, once again, T-shirt. Just saying, they like to put her in skimpy outfits sometimes. I think the FBI got rid of her because of dress code violations. That's
right.
Ultimately what I think happened. The lies to Ram and help her cover it up. Ressler calls her out. She admits tipping Keen off, and it wasn't Cooper, which I didn't think she was actually going to admit to that, so I was actually impressed with that. And then she's banned. So where does she go from here? I mean, she's lost her job. She's out of the post office. Think she teams up with Red? What do you think happens?
Yeah, because Red's obviously on the lam now. He's on his own, driving away in that really awesome vehicle that he picked up. And I think they're going to try to hook up, and then they're going to go find Cooper, Tom, and Karakurt, and then all of them are going to come to the post office to get Liz.
So now, with all these people getting kicked out of the post office, do you ever wonder like how they're going to keep all these personalities in play? Like how are they still going to stay in play?
I think
like
they're just going to have like a rogue army.
All right, that's one way to do it. But do you think there's going to come a point where Aram ends up out of the post office and Ressler ends up out of the post office, and they basically all go on the lam to thwart the Cabal?
Could be. I could see that happening. It was kind of like that one show that we cannot name anymore, where they kind of had their own super secret organization in season 4 because they were kind of disavowed sort of from the CIA, but it was really a black ops, really, 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 really super secret thing. So maybe they could do something very similar.
So Alias is Voldemort now?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right. That's pretty funny.
Well, you said it first. So in Alias, they had this organization called APO in the 4th season. So
they figured it out.
Yeah.
They're listening too. Okay, that's kind of where I think too. I think Samar's going to end up teaming up with Red, and maybe she'll be the one that gets Dembe out because she knows where he'll be the easier one to get, and then they can go after Liz. They're definitely going to have to bust Liz out because she's not coming. They're not going to let her out willingly. I don't think she's getting cleared that way just yet.
They got to get to Cooper first, though. I think that's really the priority. They need Karakurt.
Okay, well, speaking of Cooper, I mean, let's forget about where we are and think about where we're going, huh? And apparently, we're going to jail, Cooper. That's where we're going. But that's the moment where Charlene's wife admits to having an affair with Doug Couster, is the neighbor's name, and even has a key to the cabin. So it's not even like a casual affair. I mean, they planned some stuff out.
Well, she didn't have the key. She knew where the key was.
That means that she was part of a serious plan.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, it's not like the key was on her key ring, like a permanent fixture.
No, but hey,
Like Cooper,
hey,
like Cooper would be like picking up the wrong set of keys when he leaves the house in the morning. He's like, hey, what's this extra key on here?
No, I'm going to go to Doug's hunting cabin. That's just a lot of, we worked a lot to cover this up kind of thing. So that's a heated affair.
Oh, yeah.
Heated affair. You think Doug's wife found out?
We didn't see Doug's wife, so who knows if Doug's wife was even alive.
Well, she was in the picture.
The picture,
Picture
could have been taken a couple years ago.
Well, you're just like all kinds of dour. She's got to be, for the drama, she's got to be alive.
Maybe she knows, and that's why he's pissed off at her because...
That's what I'm asking.
You know,
These are questions.
she's not there, so clearly she was gone.
Well, how do you think this affects Cooper's character?
I think Cooper would come to a realization that because they've done so much in the second season with her character and the two of them working together through the illness, the not so illness, and everything there. So I think that they're going to work it out. I think Cooper's going to be, you know what, I was working a lot. You know, this Reddington thing was kind of crazy in season 1. I almost died at the end of season 1, and it really put the priority straight. So I think that maybe he has some kind of realization that family, again, with our family theme for the show, that family is important.
Sorry, you say family, I hear Vin Diesel. That's just how I operate. Yeah, I'm very curious how that's going to work because you've got a guy who has lost his job. Basically, he's lost his job. I mean, he's on the lam. He's lost his job. Although I think since Revan is dead and only Ressler was aware of the situation and Samar kind of copped to that, Cooper might be in the clear job-wise, right? Like, he might be okay job-wise.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But the marriage thing, he's basically been on the lam, kind of. So, I mean, he's really turning into a little rebel I think, and he's going to be a broken man at some point. There's
Maybe-
only so much stress one guy can handle.
Maybe he's like trying to cope with it, trying to deal with it, and she gets killed in a crossfire by accident, and he's like, well, that makes it easier.
Wow. Wow. That just happened. Okay, well, that leads us to Tom. We're not going to sit here and play Mother May I with Donald Ressler. Love that line. That's one of my favorite lines of the episode. But he went full on Jack Bauer in Cooper's house, man. When those guys came in, you got a gun? Yeah, I got one gun. That's apparently all Tom needs. Tom is a huge badass. Like, he is a ninja assassin at this point. Do you love this turn of events for Tom?
I love Tom Keene. I love Tom Keene ever since Lucy Brooks said, she's not your wife, she's your target. I was like, ooh, Tom's cool. I like Tom.
Yeah, but he was never, like, this bad. Like, he keeps getting more and more badass. The more we see him, it's like, well, you're actually kind of a cool guy, man.
Oh, yeah. I think that really, really excited to find out how Tom operates. And is this the real Jacob Phelps? Is this really what Jacob Phelps is all about? This is what he's trained to do, which then makes you wonder what kind of training has he had, and has he ever been employed with, say, the armed forces or the Queen's Army or something of that nature in one of his assignments? Because he seems to have lots of skills.
With a Z. Always with a Z.
Always with a Z.
Always with a Z. Well, after he went full Jack Bauer in the house, then they get this like Fast and Furious car motorcycle chase that really reminded me of Black Rain. It's an 80s movie if you've never seen it. Once again, movie reference. You're welcome.
And once again, the 80s for all the people that love the 80s on the show.
Yeah. Michael Douglas, when he had that coif of hair. Oh, man. He had like a Kurt Russell-looking hair in that movie. It was great. Then he does minor surgery to remove a tracking device, that old staple, which I thought was kind of funny. Like, what did you think that the tracking device was for? To keep him safe? I don't understand that logic exactly.
Yeah, they put it in so they could keep me safe and find me. And Tom's like, no, they put it in you so they can kill you, dude.
Yeah, dumb. Just a big dumb. That's the first thing I would have done is cut that thing out as soon as I could.
And what does he say? It's like, what are you going to do with that? He's like, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to cut your femoral artery. It's like, no, I'm going to take the tracking chip out of your chest, dumb.
Oh, man. And Tom reminds me, I was telling a friend of me, he reminds me of, you ever see that Denzel Washington movie, Man on Fire?
Yeah.
Like, he's reminding me of that this season. Very much just a man on a mission. Nothing's getting in his way. He's going to find a way to get it done.
Absolutely.
And I guess the question I have in regards to Tom, Keene's in custody, Red's on the lam, Samar's kicked out of the post office. So a lot of the people that were working for her haven't managed to do what she thought they were going to be able to do. Is Tom really her best option?
At this point, I'd say yes.
Maybe he was the whole time. Did you ever think of that? Maybe this whole time we thought Red was going to get her out of this, and the whole time, really, if Tom coming back is the only way that she gets cleared.
Well, is really Tom the only option, or is it still Red is the only option, and Tom, again, is just one of Red's pawns?
No, I think Tom is the option. He's got character. He's got that piece that can clear her name.
But I guess the question is, does he go too? Because the one dynamic that we didn't get to see in this episode was, Tom's so worried about Ressler, and Mother May I and all that jazz. But really, when Cooper says, Red told us to stay here, I was waiting for Tom to be like, oh, not this crap again. I worked for that guy. I was against that guy. I'm so sick of that guy. He didn't get fired up at all about the fact that Cooper was bowing to Red's rules and not just taking matters into his own hands.
Interesting.
So is Tom back basically on Red's payroll at this point?
No. I think he's doing this for Liz. For love, as they say. Ressler, though, dude's a total James Bond. Has sex with Samar and then throws her under the bus the next morning. That's James Bond. And his hair doesn't move, just like James Bond.
Yeah, I loved his line. He's like, yeah, be careful. That boss is a prick. And I was like, yeah, dude, you kind of are.
Did you see that coming, that he would actually kick her out?
Well, if you look at the way Ressler operates, he's always been above the law, right? He's the truthful person.
That's not above the law. He's on par with the law. He follows the law.
That's true. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that's his character. So when he's like, I can't believe we did this, and then you lied to my face, it just, that pisses me off, and I don't want to have to go through what I went with my father. So therefore, just get the hell out. You're done. So I think it goes right to his character, and I think it's a very plausible explanation and reasoning for what he did. I guess the question is, does he actually have the authority to do so? Or does he have
Well,
to clear
yeah,
it with
I mean,
Revan because he's only the acting director? He's not really the director.
Seemed like he had the authority because she got in the elevator and got out.
True.
So she gone. Now, it brings up a question because he's like Dudley Do-Right right now. I mean, he's lately literally the only character doing the right thing all the time. But I just want to point out, he is the guy that originally let Liz go.
Yep.
So do you think that's a factor in why he's so firmly sticking to the rules these days? Because he realized, man, that was my mistake, and the assistant DA died because of it.
Yeah, he's totally trying to make up for that mistake. To him, it's a mistake because he didn't follow the law at that point.
Mm-hmm. That's what I want. I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people were like, well, he never breaks law. I'm like, well, technically, he's the entire reason why Tom Connolly's dead. If you think about it, he's really the reason. Or was did she kill Tom Connolly and then escaped? Like, no,
she escaped first, and then Tom Connolly died.
Killed Tom. Yeah, so it's really, technically, he's culpable.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Complicit.
Now, Ressler tells this story about his dad, and he talks about Tommy. Is it Markin or Marquette?
It was Markin or Larkin. I couldn't remember.
No, it was with an M, so it was Markin.
Markin. Yep.
Okay. And he tells a story about his dad's partner in Detroit PD. His dad died because Markin planted a trap. I guess because this name came up twice during the episode, and I realized they used it as a reference to tie the two together. It's basically like finally Revan understood what was going on. But do you think this character actually comes back?
Nope.
Like, shows up in the show at all?
No, reaching. No, definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just truly so that they could use it as the going out statement for Revan, just to point out, like, she understands exactly who Laurel was, which then gives it to the audience also. Yeah, I think that's the only reason it was placed in there.
Okay. Then Ressler tracks Keen down and runs her down, and once he captures her at the very end, Keen says, "You wouldn't shoot." He says, "I would. You know I would." Do you think he would?
I don't know. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck? If you could chuck woodchuck wood.
I'm going to punch you in the face right to the internet. I'm going to internet punch you. That's what I'm going to do.
If the situation arose where she drew on him or was drawing on him, then yes, I think he would. But since she's unarmed at this point, then no, he wouldn't shoot her.
Are you sure? Because he said, "I would. You know I would." I just feel like he was trying to...
I mean, there's a difference between shooter to kill and shooter to maim, shooter to slow down, right?
I just mean shooter at all. I think he really would have shot her.
I think he would have shot her in the kneecap or the foot or something to basically get her to stop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would he shoot her?
Yeah, he wouldn't shoot her to kill her, but definitely would shoot her to slow her down. Absolutely.
Well, they do sometimes shoot people just to stop them. You know, it's not always to kill them.
Every time somebody shoots somebody on this show, it seems to kill him. Just like that guy in the woods. Blam, blam, blam. That was hot.
And then you get fans saying, well, we didn't see... He's not dead. Oh, he's super dead. He's so dead. Tom Connolly's so dead. Liz, well, she is not pregnant, but Megan Boone is. So we definitely want to take a second to congratulate her. Megan Boone, in case she's listening to this, congratulations to you, lady, on her new upcoming baby. But it seems like Liz, the character, is not pregnant, which was a lot of the rumor, because if Megan Boone is pregnant, does that mean her character is going to be... Because she did have sexy time with Tom. It seems like the answer is no. Would you agree?
That I'm going to plead the fifth. I do not know, one way or the other. Could they write it in? Sure. Do we want them to write it in? Absolutely not.
But it seems like no is the answer at this point.
Yeah, she's definitely not pregnant or aware that she's pregnant in any way, shape, or form, show-wise.
Okay. Now, as for Liz, she finally got into some action this episode, more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
She's making out with Jasper to get the red. She eventually gets herself and Dembe caught. There's a whole lot of Liz action going on, a lot more than we've had in the last few episodes. So where do you think we're going with Liz in the back half of the season?
This is a really interesting thing, because if you did see some of the previews or read the article, then you have a really big question of, is she really in moral danger? Mortal danger.
Yeah, I was going to say, moral danger?
Both.
She's already broken the moral.
Yeah, I mean,
the morals.
Yeah, will she be able to come back from that, I guess, is the question, because she's now traversed too far away from what was right. And because of that, she's going up against someone who basically is ultimately right, in his eyes anyway, in Ressler. And so, that'd be very interesting to see how their justifications of what they do kind of go back and forth with each other in those conversations. And maybe those back and forth conversations are what helps bud their potential romance that we think is there, at least from a wrestler perspective.
Now, are you disappointed in any way, shape, or form that these past 8 episodes have felt like they were building to the point where they're going to clear Liz, right? And I think a lot of people, which there has been some disappointment, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of fans, most of the fans seem to love this episode, but there were definitely some people that were a little bummed because they thought Liz would be cleared. Are you surprised that she instead got caught?
Cleared of what is what I still say. The only thing
of the terrorist attack.
Yeah, so they get cleared from that, but she still killed the AG in cold blood.
Yeah, so I said DA earlier and I meant AG. I apologize for that dumb mistake. So,
I mean, clear from the Aria bombing, clear from the senator poisoning or whatever, sure. But at the end of the day, she's still guilty. She killed the guy. So cleared. Who cares if her name's cleared? She's still going to jail.
She might be, but they may be able to get around that one somehow. I don't know how.
Plea deal or something. Hey, keep working with us and giving us blacklister names with Red, and you'll be fine.
Possibly. That's quite possible. That could happen.
Season 5, Season 6.
It could happen. So you didn't really answer my question. Where do you think we're headed with Liz the back half?
I think the mother concept was still the thing that was kind of opened up at the end of Season 2. So I think we still have to be on our way to find out who Mommy is. And then I think Mommy is going to end up being involved with the Cabal somehow as maybe the head.
Now just humor me. Could Laurel Hitchens
be her
mom?
That's what some people are thinking about that.
Are they really? I haven't seen that, so I didn't know that.
I mean, if you think about it, you have the director, and the director's like, "Oh man, I didn't realize how much like your mom you look," And of course, she's blonde now, and Laurel Hitchens is blonde. So, granted, women dye their hair, but they're blonde right now.
That's exactly why I thought of it. Do you think it's possible?
It's possible, sure. You think that she'd be more involved, or at least more concerned, or more curious about Liz? She doesn't seem so involved with Liz as much as Red.
I don't know. I'm just keeping that option open because it's something that didn't occur to me until like literally 2 minutes ago.
Well, then, you're slow because other people thought a long time ago.
I don't sit there and read all the comments, man. Hey, I called that she was a Cabal member. I think I'm doing good. I'm good. I got good odds here. Man, you suck. In terms of Liz, I think the mom is definitely going to come into play. I think Mom is going to help her get out in some way, or Red is going to have to call on Mom to get her out in some way. But I definitely think she's going to be in custody for a little bit. I think we're going to see Red trying to get whatever was in that box back. I'm really curious, really curious how that works.
Well, that would make my theory really interesting then, because if Red's got to call on Mom to help out, I'd love to see Red just have a
phone call with himself.
Yeah, split personality episode.
He just dials himself. He's got like a burner phone in one hand, another burner phone in the other one. He's just talking. Hey, you got to help Liz. All right. Yeah, that was the worst impression of whatever that was. All right. Well, Red, no doubt, when they're talking about how expensive the code is, and he says no doubt worth considerably less now.
I got to bring this up because I'm still laughing at it. But it's possible if you go back and think about Lord Baltimore.
What's possible?
That he could have a split personality.
Oh my God! Let it die, man. It's not the case. I swear to you, it is not the case. There is no conceivable way that Red is actually Liz's mom with a sex change. None of that stuff adds up. None of it. You are reaching so far.
Hey, at least I'm reaching with facts and clues and plausibility.
I don't know if they're really facts. They're just like items that are bent to your will. That's what I think is going on here.
Hey, the iTunes review said that it's possible. So other people are starting to believe.
Well, if the internet said it's possible, Troy, then it must be fact.
Be true.
The internet never lies. God. All right. Well, Red, what I was trying to say, the line where he's talking to the Ken-ish hillbilly, and you're talking about the coat being expensive. He's like, no doubt worth considerably less now. I thought that was my second favorite line after Ressler's Mother May I line.
I think that line was probably the best, one of the better lines of the entire season.
Well, and when he's walking out of the trailer, oh my God, when he looks to Jillian, he's like, you need some serious help. Like, that was bravo. Red was really badass in that trailer with the hillbilly.
Yes.
Did you see that coming? Like, he was going to, like, did you think he was going to Steven Seagal that gun out of his hand?
Potentially, yeah. I was almost hoping to see Red still have the cuffs on and maybe even go for the old Liz thigh vice concept.
Ooh, nice. Haven't seen that in a while.
Yep.
And by the way, we're doing a little drinking game. Every time I reference a movie, you can do a shot, I think. And you might not make it to the end. I'm sorry. You're welcome. Was Red getting caught the flimsiest part of the episode in terms of, because I briefly talked about that at the beginning when we started this podcast, but that's what a lot of people were concerned with, was how easily Red was captured. I don't really see it as a problem because, I mean, if a guy comes with a gun to him, what's he going to do?
Hey, you're pumping gas, you're watching gas TV, you're looking at the weather because it's kind of cold outside, and all of a sudden someone cold clocks you from behind. It happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially if you're on your phone, which you're not supposed to be at the gas pump. You're supposed to not use your phone because it could spark and blow people up and stuff. But if he was on his phone looking at Facebook or whatever, he.
Yes, I see Red checking his Facebook status.
I mean, yeah, you get cold clocked from behind. So no, getting captured that easily. I think in the situation where he was, he could totally get captured. Totally plausible.
What would Red's Facebook status be? Would he do recipes, or he'd just be like, I killed 3 guys today. Sun's up.
He would say, fedora-wearing criminal mastermind and lover of great pastries.
He would probably just tell a story about his uncle and a barbecue or something.
And a beekeeper.
Yeah. We see him manipulate people again. Do you think he could have or should have escaped the trailer? I'm only mentioning a couple of these because I'm addressing some of the audience concerns.
Could he have escaped the trailer when he finally picked the handcuffs, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, should he have left earlier? I think if he leaves earlier, though, than when he did, it's still too many people that he has to go up against. So I think he had to take at least one man down so that way he could have a little bit of an advantage. Slip away
Right.
easier, get into the woods kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. That makes sense. I thought it played out fine. I actually really enjoyed, the hillbillies, the rednecks, the kings of the highway, they really had some decent character work in there. Jilly, I thought, was really good. Cash, I thought, was great. He had some great mannerisms and just, I don't know, character tics that I really loved in his performance. So for me, I love acting styles, and if somebody actually brings a little something to the performance, that always makes me like the character and the situation a lot better. So that helped. Yeah,
these are guys where I'm like, I almost want to see a TV show just with them going around, like knocking off banks and drugstores. And
we saw it. It's called Justified.
That's right.
Starred Timothy Olyphant. Loved the show. Great ending, by the way. We dug coal together. Oh, makes me cry. Anyway, so he does try to manipulate people, and we see that he's in a situation that he can't control, which is, as I said earlier, one of my favorite aspects of this episode. With him and the Lamb and Liz caught, where does Red go from here?
Yeah, like I said already, I think he goes to find Cooper. I think that's his next best play. He needs some help. And Cooper technically could still have his access and be cleared from all that other stuff because Samar's the one that tipped him off. And because Revan's gone, someone's got to take Revan's spot now. So that's how Cooper gets back in charge.
What do you think Red's plan is? Because I do think that they have been setting the pieces into play for the back half of the season. So these first 8 episodes, he has been getting his plan together to clear Liz. However that's going to work. And I think we're going to see that come to fruition in the back half, or the next, 14 episodes, whatever the number is. So how do you think that's going to play out? Do you have any theories yet, Mr. Theory?
I do not. I think it's going to be...
What? I'm really disappointed.
I think it's going to be like little pieces of little pieces. I think it's going to be... Like if you think about a tree, right? And if you have an axe, you can swing the axe...
Where is this going?
You can swing the axe as hard as you can, right? At the tree. But more than likely what's going to happen is that axe is going to break. So I think you're going to see it like little chop, little chop, little chop, little chop, and eventually the tree's going to fall. So I don't think you're going to see a big takedown, within these first couple episodes back after the winter break. I think it's going to be something that plays out slowly over the course of the entire rest of the 3rd season before the big finale. And I think that's what we're going to see. It's a little piece of that road. Each green light is a little piece of that plan that they have put in motion. Okay,
I like your axe analogy, except for the fact that you need to buy a better axe if it's actually going to break, because they're meant to cut in the trees. That's literally what they're created
Well, it'll
for.
cut in, and then you're trying to pull it out, and then because you're so Herculean, you just break the handle off, and the axe gets stuck in the tree.
Yeah, you should just stop buying your axes at Home Depot, man. cheap craftsmanship. What number 2 is? I want to let's take a bet, a board bet, so to speak. How many episodes do you think Liz is held at the post office before she's either A, broken out, or B, cleared?
2.
How many you got?
2.
2. Wow, you think it's going to be that quick, huh?
2.
I'm going with. You probably know something I don't know, don't you?
Otherwise, the box is going to start smelling funky.
Well, Red was in there quite a while. I'm going to go with 4. I think she's held at the post office for 4. So I'm just curious to see who comes out ahead. We're both guessing, although I think you probably know more than I do because you pay attention to show titles and previews, and I don't do any of that. So you probably know something I don't. You suck. All right, well, we're going to find out more on Red's plan after the winter break, but you've got some more information you wanted to go over.
Yeah, I found this really interesting, and I was going to bring it up here instead of in the special agent section for Red, because in this episode specifically, we got to thank Christopher from the Clearing the Red tape group for this little nugget. I thought this was really interesting. So in this episode, Red uses the name Kenneth Rathers. And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And so many of you know the song, obviously, What's the Frequency, Kenneth, by REM. Great song, 1994, I believe, if my memory serves. And what many of you may not know is that Dan Rathers, that news anchor, he's actually the person behind the inspiration of that song.
I knew that.
Yeah, so one day Dan Rathers is walking down the street, and he gets assaulted by a dude who thought that the TV industry was hacking into his brain via the frequencies. And so this person, William Tagger, I believe his name was, while he was assaulting Dan Rathers, kept on saying, Kenneth, what's the frequency? And so some actually speculated that William Tagger was actually a KGB agent. And so the connection of Kenneth Rathers, used by Red in this episode, potentially deeper meaning?
Deeper meaning, or just a nice Easter egg.
Yeah.
See, here's one thing I want to say. And granted, we love the listeners and the fans and everybody that's in the Facebook group and everything, and they come up with all these crazy theories, but sometimes we're just overanalyzing it. Sometimes it's just something where the showrunners threw it in there to give us a little something to have fun with, and I think that's all that was. It's a great catch, but I think it's just a nod, is what I think it is.
Well, kudos to Christopher for catching it, because I thought that was kind of interesting.
Absolutely, and if more comes from it, then I'm proven wrong. But I think sometimes there's just little nuggets that they give to give a tip of the fedora, so to speak, to the audience. Yeah,
and we shared a picture from one of the other groups in our group about the writer's room, and it's like you can see these guys and gals are just sitting around eating pizza. It seems kind of like a college dormitory in a little bit of a way from the picture.
Oh, absolutely.
And so literally it could just be like, hey, you guys remember this story? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, that's great. We could put those two things together because I needed a name because I'm at a writer's block or something. And it could be just be that simple.
Before we get to the rest of our show, we've got several other things to get to, including some listener feedback. I want to ask you, these first 8 episodes, where do you stand in terms of the season so far?
I know you weren't so super thrilled with the first 8 of the Berlin Saga in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I still like the Berlin 8 better than this 8 at this point, just because I thought the way that the Berlin thing played out was pretty awesome when it completed. Now, if we were going to say that maybe episode 9 and episode 10 are really part of this first 8, then I might change my stance. But I mean, as the first 8, what we've seen at this point, I still like the Berlin 8 at the start of season 2 better.
Did you say if episode 9 and 10 are part of the 8 and it's basically the same? Oh, I thought it didn't make any sense. Mathematically, that makes no sense. 8 is 8.
Well, no, I mean, like, if 9 and 10 were supposed to be part of this story, like it's really supposed to be a 10-episode story, then it's really not complete yet, so I don't want to pass judgment until the story itself is complete. But if that's the case, then I might change my mind. But
I just mean the season as a whole. Where do you find the season so far? Do you enjoy the storyline? Or
I absolutely love the storyline. Love the storyline. Love the music that they've used in this first section. Love the relationship changes. Love that we got more Ressler, which is what we asked for. Still want a little bit more Cooper in a way. So hopefully Cooper can have a more prominent point in this next couple episodes. I think that at the end of the day, I really want some of the backstory. I want to know what happened between 1990 and 1994. I want to know what happened in Kuwait. I want to know what happened in all these countries that Red references. I want to see, I guess, for lack of a better term, some lost flashbacks and how that actually ties into where we're at today.
I don't want all that stuff. I love getting little nuggets where we get little pieces filled in, and I get to use my imagination. I'm a huge fan. I've talked about that ad nauseum. I prefer to use my imagination in a show, and I like that Red will give a story, another character gives a story, and we have to fill in the blanks. Like the whole Ressler talking about Tommy Larkin. That whole story, he gave a basic synopsis, but now I get to go run with that and fill in the blanks with myself. The past history between Cooper and Rad, I can fill in some of that in my own mind. I like that option as opposed to having everything decided for me and spelled out for me. So I like that. In terms of this season, I love it so far. I think it's been really fun. It's been great. Actually, there's only been really one episode I didn't like. And that was, 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Yeah,
Match
It, the cornfield one.
Yeah, the cornfield one. There's really, I like everything else. So I'm not having a problem with the show at all. I love the show. I think it's great. And I look forward to where they're going, man. They seem like they're setting it up. I think some people are concerned like, hey, we spent 8 episodes with them on the run and then Liz just gets caught. I don't think it's that simple. I think we're going to get a lot more story to that. So I think we needed those 8 episodes so that Liz was with Red. They could go after some items that they needed to get to set up whatever's going to happen in the back half. That's what I think it is. And now I think when they come back, it's going to be Liz in the post office. You're going to have Red trying to recapture whatever was in that briefcase because he needs that to complete his plan. So I think that's going to be some of it. And maybe he could actually leverage the money that he has as the director to get that briefcase.
Potentially.
Yeah, so there's that possibility. I think there's a lot more story to come. I really like this first half. And I do like it more than the Berlin saga. So, all right.
Wouldn't be a podcast with the Blacklist Exposed if we agree to disagree.
Well, I mean, you're just wrong a lot. I don't know what to tell you.
I know.
It happens.
This half of season 3 is definitely better than the second half of season 2. Up until the last 2 or 3 episods.
I liked the second half. I haven't
the Deer
had
Hunter and Ruslan Denizov and the Kenyan family and
didn't love several of them, but I've had a blast. I haven't had a bad season of Blacklist yet.
No.
And that's a compliment because many shows, I mean, there's at least like 4 or 5 episodes in a row where you're like, man, this show is not going anywhere, and then it might save itself. But this show has been consistently entertaining. Even the weaker episodes are better than most things on television.
Agree 100%.
All right. Well, remember to be sure to download the Blacklist Exposed app for iOS and Android, and be sure to go even deeper into the mystery of Red Reddington by visiting out our partner Blacklist sites, theblacklistnbc.com. I even wrote an article on that in defense of Ressler and Samar.
Good article, too.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. That's theblacklistnbc.com, as well as see the weekly post for Clearing the Red Tape and our Facebook group to go even deeper into this episode.
Now we'll run down a couple quick thank yous for those that did review the show. We got 20 of them here, so hold on tight. David, great podcast. Hosts talk about the show and not what they ate that day. Thanks, David.
I had pizza. You're welcome.
Nathalie, terrific cast, wonderful companion to the show. Artemis, a definite companion for any fan of the show. Steeler Craig, the way a podcast should be done with honest feedback while still loving the Blacklist. Red's Haberdasher, love it. Like listening to friends as they speak in a personal matter to the audience. Shipcapped, listen to 5 Blacklist podcasts. Wow, I didn't realize there were 5 out there. And the knowledge and professionalism makes this one the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
J$93, a perfect podcast for the true Blacklist fan. Bally 103, the only Blacklist podcast you need. Heat 55, Blacklist Exposed is phenomenal.
Yay!
N2014, excellently informative.
That comes from you, because I forget stuff.
Right.
I'm not a smart man, Jedi. Also, thanks to Sunshine51378, says I'm hooked. George Mom, thanks for the great after show. Big Michael Pedersen. Is it Pedersen or Peterson? There's 2 T's.
Could be both.
Make sure. Okay. Good insights. Keep up the great work. Or the good work, agents. Not great. I'm sorry. I don't want to give us too much credit. Good work, agents. Grandma Moses Duffy. Oh, is that really? Oh, that's funny. Fun and interesting. Susie Q58. Love these guys. Tiny Eccentric. Is this Glenn? Smart and entertaining. Love the format. Linda from Boston. Love the host and the format. Cookie 3BS. Awesome show and discussion. Lost in Madtown. For true fans, well produced. Well, you can thank Troy because Troy produces it.
Yeah, and Aaron came up with the format idea, so dynamic duo. Thanks so much again.
We work together.
We will draw the winner when we interview Mr. Bokenkamp on December 5th, so make sure you guys come back and subscribe for that. And we are not done yet. We got more to do.
We do. And just in case Bokenkamp's listening, we're not actually interviewing him on the 5th. That's when the episode releases. So
yes.
You show up on the right day, sir. All right, and now let's see what stories Red has to tell in this week's Red's Rhetoric.
Well, last week, 65% of you were wondering if Ted Bundy actually does blow vases, just like we were. This week, we're going to start off with something a little different because there really weren't any stories from Red this week, but these are our two favorite scenes from him. Our first scene this week comes right at the opening when he's having the conversation with Dembe, and he has Liz in the car.
Does anything appear out of the ordinary?
No, but I don't like this, Raymond.
We're less than an hour behind you, and Ian will be there any minute to open the store. The care package will be there soon after.
I should be with you.
You will be in less than an hour. Oh, and don't forget that other matter we discussed.
Other matter?
Ian has a first edition of Life on the Mississippi for me. Multitasking. Have I ever told you the story about Ian Bartleby and his wife and the beekeeper they fell into bed with on the Isle of Skye? Fascinating, illuminating story.
Oh, it's been a long drive. Any chance I can hear about Ian and the beekeeper after I clean up?
Yes. Freshen up. I'll fill the tank. Get us something to eat. Lizzie, we're very close. This will all be over soon.
Our second scene comes when he decides to have tea time with Jilly.
It's tea time.
Oh, that'll be fun, Jilly. Cucumber sandwiches?
And scones.
How delicious.
Would you like one lump or two?
Two, please.
You simply must tell me your name. It's dreadfully rude of me not to address you properly.
Kenneth.
Your real name.
Kenneth. Now look what you've done. You spilled all the tea, dear.
You have to tell me your real name. You're gonna hurt me if you don't.
You like getting hurt, Jilly. You wouldn't be here with them if you didn't.
You think so?
I do.
Maybe you're right. Oh. What's this?
Which one was your favorite this week? If you like the story about the beekeeper, then vote with the hashtag RedBee. And if you like Tea Time with Jilly, then use the hashtag RedT. So Red B and Red T are your two this week. Look for the polls on Twitter. Go ahead and use the hashtag on Facebook or just clam it up and let us know which is your favorite on this week's Red's Rhetoric.
All right, Special Agent Intel. Andrew sent in this about Kings of the Highway. So this episode was not as great as I expected a mid-season finale to be. However, I will call it adequate. I was surprised that Red, who managed to stay one step ahead of everyone, managed to get captured by these guys who look as dumb as rocks. I expected Red to be able to get out within minutes. I did not see that coming, that Laurel Hitchens was actually working for the Cabal. I initially thought that Charlene and the neighbor were just good friends. They were, like Samar and Ressler, you know what I'm saying? I will now eat crow and admit that I was wrong with the revelation that she did cheat on Harold. I think Ressler is being a jerk by firing Samar after sleeping with her. I also think Ressler is a bit naive in thinking that by arresting Liz he can protect her, but we all know that she's headed toward a trial by a government full of secret sociopaths hell-bent on starting World War III. Kind of like our current government. Anyways, I can't wait until January 7th to see how this will all be resolved and how Red will get Liz out and beat the Cabal. I'm sorry I made a swipe at our government because I'm sure somebody's mad at me.
Yeah, they're going to beat the Cabal with some pool balls. That's what I'm saying.
That's one thing we didn't actually speak to real quick. Do you think Ressler can protect her?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
Agreed.
gonna try, but no. No.
Oh, yeah, absolutely he's going to try. But, I mean, there's a lot of, like he says, secret sociopaths, hell-bent on starting World War III.
It's going to be like Ansel Garrick all over again. Give me the code!
And now we've got a voicemail from Neil.
Hello, this is Neil from Bowie calling into the Blacklist Exposed about episode Kings of the Highway, number 108. Disappointing again that it was not a real Blacklist name here for the episode. In fact, the whole episode was a bit lackluster, and it seems that the January 7th episode is going to be the episode that most of us hoped that this episode really was going to be. Samara's liaison with Ressler seems to be quite costly to her. She lies to Ressler and Aram. Aram betrays her. Ressler fires her. The scene with Elizabeth saying, "Where's my friend?" was probably the best one of the episode. Definitely good moves there by Elizabeth Keene. We did find out the answer about Cooper's wife and the neighbor there. So they are going off to neighbor's cabin where she apparently spent some time. Unfortunately, it looks like Solomon might have figured that out as a possible place too. The Cabal, another Cabal member, was revealed this episode, and I just have to wonder how that death is going to be explained to Ressler later on. Anyway, looking forward to seeing how things resolve in January. Onward.
Thanks, Neil. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Now, could it be that Hitchens isn't necessarily a Cabal member? Maybe she was just trying to protect the cover-up of this operation that Solomon was involved with, and just to protect her own butt. You know? Does she have to be a Cabal member?
Yes. I'll answer that for you. Yes, she has to be a Cabal member. I would be shocked if she's not.
Okay. I mean,
How else do you explain it? She shot her. I mean, she's like, hey, oh, bam. Sorry, honey. Sorry about this. My bad.
But she was asking about Solomon and the operation specifically. So I'm just saying, we're interjecting and assuming that she's a Cabal member. She could just be covering something else up at the end of the day.
That is true, but I totally think she's a Cabal member.
Yeah.
Basically because I said that last week, and I don't want to be wrong about myself.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I gotta commit to what I said. So. All right. Well, Annie wrote in. She said, "Hey guys, thanks so much for the podcast." Oh, I do want to say, how will they deal with Revan being killed, Neil? I think that they'll basically say she drowned, and I don't know where that bullet hole came from. I don't know where the hole in her chest came from.
They'll bury in the ground, not really do a very good job, and dug up like the harbor master.
Maybe sharks bit a hole through her chest.
Because Kaplan wasn't there to help it out.
Annie said, "Hey guys, thanks so much for the podcast. I really enjoy it. I wondered if you could discuss a theory for me." Well, Troy loves theories, so here we go. I think that Red is Lizzie's stepfather, or pseudo-stepfather, if Red and Katerina were never married. And he's protecting her because Katerina Rostova is still alive and has been watching over his daughter. I think Red and Katerina Rostova fell in love, both of whom had children from previous relationships. Both the girls were named Elizabeth, by the way. It's not an uncommon name, and Masha was probably just a cover name. That kind of makes sense if you think about it. Hence Red's potential last words being Lizzie. Anyway, because of the covert and dangerous nature of their jobs, Red equals naval intelligence, Katerina equals KGB spy, something must have happened that caused them to fear for their children. To protect them, Red and Katerina made an exchange. Red would watch over Katerina's daughter in the U.S., and Katerina would watch over Red's daughter in Russia. What this means is that Red's love for Elizabeth is indeed paternal, but he isn't her father, strictly speaking. That's why when she asked him point blank, he hesitated. Both yes and no would have been truthful answers. He had to decide quickly what was the safest answer. But why does it... I don't know about quickly, because, I mean, you think he would have pondered having to answer that question at some point, right?
Right.
But it's neither here nor there. But why does he seem Why does it seem like he cares so much if she's not really his daughter? Ask any step-parent who loves his or her partner's child as their own. They'll explain it. So what's the blacklist then? It's the people standing in the way of Red and Katerina reconnecting and being a family without having to constantly look over their shoulders. That's interesting. P.S. Sorry to the shippers out there. This explains why Red is never going to sleep with Liz. He loves Katerina. He's not going to sleep with her daughter because, ew.
Ew.
Just ew.
Ew. Yeah. I liked it, actually. It's very interesting. Almost like
plausible.
Almost
plausible.
like almost like they're sisters. Almost like maybe the sisters would fight against each other in some way. Maybe kind of like the passenger in a prophecy.
I see what Alias is doing here. It's kind of like Alias meets Parent Trap. Interesting.
That'd be funny. That'd be a funny show. I'd watch that.
I'd watch that. Yeah, I'd watch it. That's a really good theory. I like that.
I do like that. That's really good.
And it's one I haven't heard.
Yeah,
so
the
which
swapper.
is really impressive at this point. Let me tell you.
I'm going to flag that one. Call that one the swapper. The swapper theory.
Okay. Now we're going to hear a nice voicemail from Germany.
Hey guys, my name is Anja. I'm from Germany. I just wanted to say that I love your podcast. For me, you are the icing of the cake. So thank you so much. Rock on.
Your voice and accent are adorable. Just letting you know. Tessa shared the following. The only hope Red has of taking the Cabal down is to follow the Art of War's advice. His is a small army, but he has more information on them, 20 years gathering, than they do on him. Thus he was first weakening them. That was what the blacklist was about. Take down the contractors they use. Second step, accelerated because Liz showed herself to Peter K, and thus gave them a weapon against him. Second step is to take down the resources, the money laundering, and the key officials in all countries. This was the exposing of the Cabal. Third is to deliberate certain members in the internal structure by exposing the divisions of the Cabal. For example, if a Cabal member had attacked another, such as the attack on the British Princess or the Lion attack on the Poacher, that would create internal divisions that would debilitate the structure and create internal wars and factions. Then it would implode on its own.
Kind of like Solomon and the director being at odds with each other.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Oof. Oh, now I got to read The Art of War.
You've never read The Art of War?
Not in a long time.
Does that mean, be honest, have you ever actually read it?
Skimmed through it. I only needed the Cliff Notes version to pass
pictures?
the book report.
Did you pictures?
Right.
Did you pictures? Suzanne's
Reader's Digest version.
Reader's Digest. Suzanne said, which basically means you watched the Wesley Snipes movie. Drink!
Yep.
All right, Suzanne said, I'm struck by the amount of emotion Hitchens displayed after killing Raven. Was she forced to do it? Or Revan, I'm sorry. It says Raven, but it's Revan. Was she forced to do it? Did she not want to do it? Or was the Cabal not her motive for shooting Revan? Perhaps she shot Revan because she needed to cover up her dealing with Solomon in that particular assignment. I think that's
what I said.
In other words, was she just covering her own ass?
That's what I said.
I think she's Cabal, but apparently I'm alone on this podcast anyway.
No,
but I assume everybody's with me.
I think she's Cabal. I think it's still tied to the President Solomon somehow. I don't disagree with you, but I wonder if her motive for killing Revan was different than just because she's getting too close to the Cabal.
I'm just saying if she works and reports directly to the president, obviously that's known. So I'm saying the president is involved in some capacity. That's my big concern. As to her, we'll find out where she's set up. But I'm really curious where the president lies in all this. Mm-hmm. But that's going to conclude this episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter this season at the Blacklist GSM, where we live tweet during the East Coast feed, which there won't be for a couple weeks. And we use the show's hashtag The Blacklist. We also have a Facebook group. Just search for The Blacklist Exposed and join us for the fun.
And we love getting intel from all of you, and you can keep doing that even during the break here. So submit that on Tumblr, Instagram, Clamor, or visit theblacklisexposed.com. You can go ahead and leave us an email message or use your smartphone and send us a voice message with our send voice message button.
You can also subscribe to the podcast in iTunes. Leave us a review, as we talked about at the beginning of the show.
5 more.
5 more. We're almost there, man. Or listen from the website if you're really on the go, like Red and Liz. Well, Like red.
Like red.
Make sure you download our app for iOS and Android, powered by Spreaker. You will also find all the intel and analysis about this episode for Kings of the Highway by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question. What was in the care package that is now in the FBI's hands?
Yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, assuming all goes well with Mr. Bokenkamp and the date we have set to record. So make sure, again, you subscribe so you don't miss that interview and get your questions in. Again, goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback. Use the form on the page and ask away. Everything is fair game at this point.
Yeah, and keep in mind, because some people don't really pay attention to who the behind-the-scenes talent is. John Bokenkamp is the guy who created and runs the Blacklist. He's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's Red Reddington.
I wonder if he looks as good in a hat.
I bet he looks better.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Take care. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production, copyright 2015. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.